With just half an hour left before the engagement party was set to begin, I found my fiancé Ethan in a secluded, empty room. He was sitting on the sofa, frowning deeply with clear irritation on his face. I walked over in my cumbersome gown and softly called out to him, "Ethan, the banquet is about to start." He glanced at me, his expression growing even more impatient. "I know. Sophia, are you that desperate? I already agreed to marry you, didn't I?" Ethan spoke as if he were being forced into this marriage, when in truth, he was the one who had proposed to me just a week ago. Ethan and I had been together for 5 years, but he had always been lukewarm toward me until suddenly, as if spurred by some impulse, he made a grand gesture and asked for my hand. Our families were well matched, with both sets of parents pleased with the union. So the engagement ceremony was quickly arranged. Thought we were finally on the path to happiness. But now, "Ethan, have you changed your mind?" Those words seemed to flip a switch. His face flashed with panic before he angrily shouted at me, "Sophia, how much longer are you going to keep this up? I've already said I'll marry you. What more do you want?" A wave of inexplicable anger surged through me, and I was about to respond when Ethan's phone rang. The moment he saw the caller ID, his expression softened, his furrowed brow relaxed, and he spoke with a hint of excitement. "Lily, why are you calling me out of the blue? I'm not busy right now. You're back. Why didn't you tell me ahead of time? I'll come pick you up right away." After hanging up, he rushed toward the door. I quickly grabbed his wrist. "Ethan, our engagement party starts in half an hour. Where are you going?" "Lily is back in the country. I need to pick her up from the airport." I stared at Ethan, feeling absurd as he stated it so matter-of-factly. "My dad and your parents are waiting outside. And there are tons of media here today. You're going to ditch me for Lily over one phone call?" He shook off my hand without hesitation, his eyes filled with disgust. "Sophia, don't use my parents against me. Nothing is more important than Lily's matters." It felt like a knife had been plunged into my heart. I clenched my teeth to hold back tears as I watched his long strides carry him away. Pale-faced, I pleaded with a hint of desperation, "Ethan, at least wait until after the engagement party to go get her. Please." He paused for a second, then left without hesitation. "I don't want to keep her waiting." I had always known Lily was Ethan's first love, the one he cherished above all. They had been childhood friends, and Ethan had adored her since they were kids. As for me, I didn't meet Ethan until I was 18. If Lily hadn't always brushed him off, insisting she only saw him as a brother, I never would have stood a chance. I was the one who pursued Ethan initially, and just when Lily agreed to date a high school senior he knew, he impulsively started a relationship with me out of spite that lasted 5 years. Throughout those 5 years, I tolerated everything from Ethan and poured all my effort into being good to him. As the second son of the Wilson family, showered with adoration, Ethan had a terrible temper. He was only gentle and patient with Lily. With me, he was always cold or impatient. He took advantage of my affection, freely venting his anger on me. Whenever Lily upset him, he'd storm into my room and smash my belongings to pieces. I would just stand there quietly, watching, and when he wore himself out from the destruction, I'd walk over and hug him, saying firmly, "Ethan, don't be afraid. I'm here for you." My friends couldn't understand it, accusing me of having a martyr complex. What they didn't know was how much I loved Ethan's eyes. Every time I looked into those dark orbs, all my anger melted away. I thought this kind of love would last forever. But now I was starting to feel exhausted too. Forced myself to pull it together. Ethan might run off impulsively, but I couldn't. I had to deal with the mess. The Williams and Wilson families were both prominent in City A, and their marriage alliance was under intense scrutiny. His sudden departure would inevitably spark gossip. fixed my appearance in the mirror and walked out calmly. First, I reassured Mr. and Mrs. Wilson. Then used Ethan was injured and rushed to the hospital as an excuse to cancel the engagement ceremony. Mr. Wilson was hospitalized. That sounds totally made up. I bet he ran off. Everyone knows Mr. Wilson is head over heels for Miss Parker. He must have gotten cold feet at the last minute. It's too bad Miss Williams of the Williams family was so devoted to Mr. Wilson, chasing him for years, only to get dumped. The murmurs swirled around me, with people casting looks of pity, disdain, and schadenfreude my way. Those stares made me uncomfortable, but I held my head high, clinging to the last shred of my dignity. After seeing off all the guests, I finally returned to the lounge to change out of my gown and catch my breath. Just then, Robert burst in, furious, his face livid as he demanded, "Sophia, tell me the truth. Where the hell did Ethan go?" I answered softly. "Lily came back today. He went to the airport to pick her up. As soon as the words were out, he slapped me hard across the face. "You useless failure. You can't even keep a man. At the engagement party, being abandoned by a man. Where do you want me to put my face?" My cheek hurt and felt numbed. I clenched my fist, lowered my head to hide my expression. "I'm sorry, Robert. I tell you, you must marry Ethan. Now have some business collaborations with the Wilson family. If you can't do it, don't say you're Robert's daughter." He snorted coldly. His words were cruelly heartless. I seemed not to be his daughter, just a not very useful money-making tool. After saying that, he stormed off. I loosened my tightly clenched fist. My palm had been pierced by sharp fingernails at some point. Suddenly wanted to see Ethan very much. To see his long, bright eyes. I started calling Ethan, dialing over a dozen times. Not a single one connected. Unconsciously, I opened Lily's Facebook feed. The latest update was posted 5 minutes ago. "So good. No matter when I return, you're always there." Below was a photo. She wore a small crown, sitting before a cake making a wish, her face beaming with a bright, happy smile. Like a little princess showered with love. Beside her sat a man, his long arm possessively wrapped around her shoulder. Even without his face in the shot, I recognized him at a glance. He was my fiancé Ethan, whose calls wouldn't go through. I couldn't help but chuckle softly, more than anger. It felt absurd. He had ditched me just for a phone call. And while I was being mocked and humiliated over his escape, he was busy preparing a surprise for his first love returning from abroad. He seemed to truly adore her. It made me look like an obstacle, ungratefully occupying the position of Ethan's fiancé. Well, I didn't want it anymore. I'd give it back to him. I deduced the bar they were at from the photo background and took a taxi directly there. When I found the private room, Ethan's friend's voice happened to drift out. "Ethan, I remember today is your engagement party. You just ran out like that. Aren't you afraid your fiancé will get mad?" Then came Ethan's reply. "Who cares about her? For Lily. Not just the engagement party. I'd even skip the wedding. Besides, I only started dating Sophia because she looked a bit like Lily. She's just a stand-in. Never could be as important as Lily." As the words fell, I pushed the door open. The noisy, chaotic room instantly fell silent, everyone turning to look at me. Lily nestled in Ethan's arms, still smiling brightly from his earlier declaration of loyalty. But the moment she saw me, her smile froze. "Sophia, what are you doing here?" Ethan instinctively withdrew his arm from around Lily, frowning, glaring at me with a hostile tone. "Sophia, don't misunderstand. Ethan was just joking earlier. Don't be angry." Lily sat up straight, looking at me timidly, biting her lower lip lightly, appearing pitiful. Ethan immediately shielded her, shouting at me angrily, Sophia. If you have anything to say, say it to me. Don't bully Lily. I found it somewhat amusing, Ethan. I haven't said a word since I came in, which I saw me bullying her. Ethan choked for a moment but still spoke righteously. Lily is used to being pampered. She's not as tough as you. Don't scare her. That sentence pierced my heart like a sharp blade. Everyone says Sophia is obedient, sensible, strong, embodying the grace of the Williams family heiress, but no one knows I was once willful and flamboyant. Like a spoiled, forever immature child back then. My mother was still alive. And Robert wasn't as monstrous and ugly as today. Now I have no one to love me, and my fiancé openly and intimately holds another woman. Yet tells me not to bully her. Ethan. Fine, don't talk like that, Sophia will get angry. Lily tugged at Ethan's sleeve, whispering, anyone unaware would really think I had bullied her. And she was magnanimously pleading for me, thinking about it. Her trick was nothing new. She always claimed to see Ethan only as a brother but constantly crossed boundaries. And when I questioned her, she'd put on an innocent, wronged face, as if I were the villain. I was tired of such boring acts. Who cares if she gets angry or not? Ethan snorted coldly, turned to look at me, his handsome eyes half challenging, half indifferent. Oh, Sophia. You must have heard me just now. Only saw you as Lily's substitute. I don't care about your feelings at all. I met his gaze and nodded calmly. Then let's break up. I'll step aside for you and Lily. Ethan's expression stiffened for a moment, but he soon scoffed dismissively. Sophia, stop putting on an act most a week. You'll be begging me to get back together. He was so certain that I couldn't leave him. And indeed, I couldn't leave him in the past. After my mother passed away, Robert brought back a woman named Emma and an illegitimate child 2 years younger than me. Since then, my whole world changed. The father who once doted on me turned vicious and cruel. I was in agony, finding peace only when I looked into Benjamin's eyes. So no matter how bad his temper was or how coldly he treated me, I refused to leave him. But now, his willful behavior has worn me down gradually, and I no longer want to cling to him. No. Ethan. I'm tired, I said, then turned and walked away without a trace of attachment. Damn. Is Sophia for real this time? A flicker of panic crossed Ethan's eyes, but he still spoke defiantly. She's just saving face. When she begs me later, I won't even consider getting back together. Another friend chimed in. Relax. Sophia is hopelessly in love with Ethan. She couldn't possibly break up just like that, after being Ethan's obsessive admirer for 5 years. Everyone thought I was madly in love with him, but in truth, no one knew I never loved Ethan. I loved his eyes. Those eyes that looked exactly like Benjamin's. Stepping out of the bar, I stood on the street corner trying to hail a cab. The night breeze was chilly, and I hugged my arms, shoulders hunched. Just then, a coat with a woody scent fell over my shoulders, bringing a warmth I longed for. I turned in surprise to see a familiar face. Sharp, defined features, strikingly refined and perfect in every way. More handsome than any male star on a movie poster, especially those eyes, the ones that had haunted my dreams. Like gems crafted by the world's greatest artist, I opened my mouth, but tears fell before any words could. Benjamin. He looked at me, a tumult of complex emotions swirling in his gaze, as if countless words were on the tip of his tongue. Yet in the end, all that remained was heartache and a single sentence. I'm sorry I'm late. Those words hit a nerve, and I finally broke down, sobbing uncontrollably as if pouring out years of pent-up grievances. Benjamin, you jerk. Why did it take you so long to come back? I threw myself into his arms, hitting and kicking him just like I did when I was 17. Benjamin let me act out, holding me close only when I was exhausted, whispering I'm sorry over and over in my ear. resting my head on his chest. I felt an unprecedented sense of security, still. I tugged at the corner of his shirt and asked anxiously, "Benjamin, you won't sneak away again, will you?" He gazed at me deeply, emotions overflowing in his eyes. "No. I'll never leave you again." On the way back, I had endless questions for him. Why did he flee abroad after I confessed my feelings? Why hadn't he returned all these years? Why had he suddenly appeared now? But perhaps from sheer exhaustion. I barely spoke a few words before falling asleep on his shoulder, just before losing consciousness. I heard him whisper to the driver, "Driver, please slow down. My girlfriend is asleep." A smile touched my lips as I drifted into a dream of the year we met. Benjamin was the eldest son of the Wilson family, Ethan's own brother. I met him when I was 17. The same year my mother died. Before her death, I had the happiest, most perfect family, and my mother was radiant and beautiful. My father handsome and gentle. They loved and spoiled me. If I wanted the stars from the sky, they would have plucked them for me, but that happiness shattered quickly when my mother was suddenly diagnosed with terminal cancer. On her deathbed, she called me over and secretly handed me a hard drive, warning me to be careful of my father. I didn't understand then. Not until Robert moved us immediately after her death and brought home Emma and an illegitimate child, that was when I realized Robert was nothing like the gentleman he pretended to be. Couldn't stand his disgusting betrayal. And I threw a fit, refusing to let Emma or the illegitimate child step foot in our home, but I was slapped hard across the face, covering my cheek. I stared at him in disbelief. Robert, who had always cherished me and never spoken a harsh word, now wore undisguised disgust. He said, "You're just like that woman's spawn, both disgustingly willful." So Robert had always despised my mother. His love for us was all a lie. Crying, I ran out of the house. My mind blanked. I in my dazed state, I bumped into someone. It was Benjamin at 23. He was looking at papers in his hands, and I crashed right into him, scattering the documents everywhere. Benjamin frowned tightly, just about to reprimand me coldly. When he looked up and saw me crying, my face was a mess, so the words caught in his throat. I cried while apologizing to him, crouching down to pick up the scattered documents. And as I picked them up, I suddenly grabbed his pant leg and burst into loud sobs. Benjamin's body stiffened, a crack appearing on his usually cool and composed face. He looked at me helplessly, at a loss, and finally sighed in resignation, crouching down to gently stroke my head, soothing me softly. "Don't cry. I'm here." I looked up, my vision blurred by tears meeting his beautiful eyes, so warm and bright. The next morning, I bolted up from bed, not even bothering to observe my surroundings before frantically searching for Benjamin, afraid that last night's encounter was just an illusory dream. "I am here." Following the voice, I saw Benjamin working at the coffee table in the room, instantly letting out a sigh of relief. "I knew you'd look for me when you woke up." He walked over and ruffled my hair, his gaze tender, his movements affectionate and natural. I wrapped my arms around his waist, and after 5 years apart, I seemed to want to cling to him even more. "Benjamin, who told you to have a record? I'm afraid you'll sneak away while I'm asleep." Benjamin's long lashes lowered, his expression turning desolate instantly. "I'm sorry, I couldn't bear to see him like that." Poked his side playfully, and pretended to joke. "Then explain properly why you sneaked off abroad after I confessed. If you satisfy me with the explanation, I'll reluctantly forgive you." That day, Benjamin spent an enormous effort to finally calm me down from crying. When he took me home, he realized we lived very close. He stayed in the luxury apartment next to my family's mansion. Perhaps it was those eyes that made me fall for him. And I started finding all sorts of excuses to pester him. Benjamin was aloof and distant at first, maintaining a polite distance from me, but when I squatted at his doorstep for the umpteenth time, pitifully waiting for him to return from work, Benjamin finally sighed helplessly. Sophia, I really can't handle you. I couldn't handle you from the first time I saw you. At 17. I had my first crush on a man and charged headlong into love later. Benjamin stopped deliberately avoiding me and let me cling to him. His gaze was always so gentle, putting me at ease and making my heart leap every time I broke down over Robert's attitude and threw tantrums at him. He would patiently soothe me, holding me when I wore myself out, firmly saying, "Don't be afraid. I'll be right here with you." The only thing I resented was how he always treated me like a child. He bought me lots of snacks, gently comforted me when I cried, but refused to hold my hand, go on dates, or have any closer physical contact. He always said helplessly that I was still too young, unconvinced. On a night close to my 18th birthday, I put on a sexy nightgown and boldly wrapped my arms around his neck. "Benjamin, I want to be your girlfriend." Benjamin pushed me away abruptly. His normally calm and steady face filled with embarrassment. He said, "Sophia, you're still young. I only see you as a little sister." Benjamin's rejection wounded my pride, and I sulked at home for a week without going to see him. A week later, I couldn't find Benjamin anymore. I thought of countless ways to save face. Like, "Haha, Benjamin, I was just teasing you that day. I don't actually want to be your girlfriend." Or, "Benjamin, if you think I'm too young, I can grow up a bit more and then be your girlfriend." I psyched myself up to go find him, but all that greeted me was an empty apartment. Benjamin was gone, along with all his luggage. I desperately called him, but no one answered. Like a desperate ghost, I wandered around his apartment every day but never saw him again. That's when I realized I knew nothing about Benjamin, only knew he'd bought an apartment nearby for convenience in commuting to work. Beyond that, I knew nothing. It was all too easy for him to shake me off, from initial hurt and anger to later terror. Benjamin had been so good to me. I never imagined he'd abandon me. Thought it must be because I was too greedy and spoiled. I sent Benjamin many texts, promising I'd be well behaved and obedient, begging him not to leave me, but there was no reply. On my 18th birthday, I got blind drunk and ran to his apartment, but couldn't enter the password correctly. I'd secretly changed his door code to my birthday before, and Benjamin, upon finding out, had just smiled with helpless indulgence. But now I'd lost him, and I couldn't even open that door. Just as I stubbornly punched in the password over and over, the door suddenly opened. I looked up and met a pair of familiar eyes. They looked so much like Benjamin's. But it wasn't him. This person was younger, with delicate features and a roguish air, radiating an unapproachable vibe. He frowned handsomely, looking impatient. "Hey, who are you?" I stared at those eyes, uncannily like Benjamin's, speechless for a long moment before fleeing in shame with only, "Sorry, wrong door. There was a problem with the company overseas, and Father asked me to handle it." Benjamin held me and began explaining why he'd left so suddenly back then, because it was urgent, and my sudden confession had thrown him off balance. He hadn't had time to say goodbye before going abroad. Upon arriving abroad, my luggage was stolen. Benjamin found a temporary phone and immediately started handling company matters. "Sophia, I'm sorry. I was too cowardly back then. Unable to face my own heart or confront your bravery." Benjamin was a business genius but clueless in matters of love. My bold and direct confession had flustered him, so he used work as an excuse to avoid responding to me. This busy period lasted over half a month, during which he finally realized his feelings for Mayhay. Had liked me from the very first moment we met, but then he learned I was already with someone else. His own younger brother. Ethan, hearing Benjamin's words. My heart ached so badly I could barely breathe. So we had missed each other back then. And that miss stretched into 5 long years. Benjamin. Aren't you angry that I'm with Ethan? Benjamin looked at me. His eyes filled with deep pain and regret. I have no right to be angry, after finding out about Ethan and me. He chose to stay abroad with the company. Using work to numb the pain of losing me, he didn't dare return. Didn't dare face the fact that I belonged to someone else until he received news of my engagement to Ethan. Honestly, I really considered whether to crash the wedding. Benjamin said with a laugh. Half joking, half serious, he deliberately booked a late flight to excuse himself from our engagement party. Little did he expect that upon returning. Ethan had abandoned me for another woman, though it was despicable. He felt ecstatic in that moment. Benjamin gently cupped my face as if holding a long-lost treasure. Sophia, I don't care about morals or etiquette. If Ethan doesn't appreciate you, I'll take you from him, this time. I won't let go. What if I'm unwilling? What if I haven't forgiven you yet? I pursed my lips. Pretending to be stern, the fool actually believed me. His face turning pale instantly, I chuckled softly. Benjamin had been gone for 5 years. And during that time, I occasionally heard about him from Ethan. I was busy dealing with my cold, utilitarian Robert and that ambitious, ruthless Emma and her son. So I didn't think of him constantly. When we met again, I thought I'd hate him, resent him, or simply feel indifferent, treating him like a familiar stranger. But the moment he said, I'm sorry, I'm late, I knew I still loved him. Always had. So just kidding. Ethan and I broke up last night. Benjamin. Let's be together properly this time. Never apart again. After pouring out our hearts to each other, I realized we were in the same apartment from years ago. Barefoot, I ran around the place, amazed to find everything arranged exactly as before. Even the little trinkets I'd brought over back then were still there. Benjamin carried me to the sofa, putting on my shoes as he said, after Ethan moved out. I had the place restored to its original setup. I wanted to keep every trace of you. The deep affection in his eyes made my heart flutter. Couldn't resist leaning in and planting a kiss on his lips. Benjamin froze instantly, staring at me in disbelief. My cheeks flushed, but I straightened up defiantly. Benjamin, I'm 23 now. Fully grown. That phrase was like a signal. Benjamin suddenly pinned me to the sofa, one arm locking my waist as he captured my lips. This kiss, after 5 years apart, was filled with intense longing and passion. We kissed until I was breathless. And only then did he release me. Sophia, let's get married. Benjamin held me tightly, as if wanting to merge me into his very bones. His chest burned hot, his suppressed breaths whispering against my ear. My mind foggy. I blurted out without thinking, it's fine. We don't have to get married to do that, Sophia Williams. Benjamin shot up, glaring at me through gritted teeth, his face turning crimson. You. Ugh. He sighed helplessly and ruffled my hair. Sophia, I want to marry you early, to bind you to me forever. I paused for a moment, hesitant, but I just got engaged to Ethan. A brother marrying his brother's fiancée. That kind of scandal would explode in the city's media. I didn't care much about my own reputation, but I didn't want Benjamin to become the subject of gossip and ridicule. Maybe we should wait a bit longer. I can't wait, Benjamin said firmly. I don't care about others. Only you, Sophia. We've already missed 5 years. So I won't wait another moment. Benjamin was scared. Had lost me by being just a step too slow last time. And now he was determined to tie me to him early and never let go. Seeing the determination in his eyes, my heart melted completely. Okay, Benjamin. Let's get married. Before marrying Benjamin, I needed to settle things at home and end my engagement with Ethan, went home to change clothes and ran into my stepmother, Emma. Just as I was heading out again, she started making sarcastic remarks as soon as she saw me. Oh. Who do we have here? It's Sophia, the heiress of the Williams family who got stood up by her fiancé at the engagement party. How can you even bother putting on makeup to go out? If I were you, I'd just hide at home to avoid embarrassing yourself. That woman, Emma, was Robert's first love. The USB drive my mother left me contained their story from back then, a bit of a soap opera. To sum it up, a wealthy heiress fell for a poor boy who abandoned his first love to marry her for money. After the wedding, Robert's talents flourished, and with my mother's help, he founded the Williams family's company. After her parents passed away, he even took over her family's business, rising to become one of the elite in City. My mother was blinded by Robert's gentle facade until she was seriously ill and stumbled upon clues. She hired a private investigator and found out Robert had never cut ties with his first love, even fathering a son with her. Heartbroken, my mother didn't have time to get revenge before she died, so she left me the truth and some useful connections. I spent 5 whole years pretending to be weak and obedient in front of Robert. And today, I finally have enough power to take him down. That fool Emma was still dreaming of kicking me out of the Williams family so she and her son could monopolize the wealth, put on a fake smile and mimicked her sarcastic tone. Why don't you focus more on your own son? He keeps causing scandals and making headlines. Maybe he should stay home too and go out less. With that, I walked away. Emma lost her temper behind me, her shrill voice piercing my eardrums. Sophia, don't get too cocky. Robert said you won't get a penny from the Williams family. Just wait until Ethan dumps you, and you're left out in the cold. I smirked. Someone would be out in the cold. All right, but it wouldn't be me. It would be Robert, Emma, and their son. I brought gifts to the Wilson family's house to personally call off the engagement. Ethan's parents were happy to see me and scolded me playfully for bringing anything, set the gifts down and sat beside them naturally. In the 5 years I dated Ethan, I'd spent more time with his parents than he had. And we'd grown close. Their villa was right next to mine, just a 5-minute walk away. Back then, Ethan had taken a liking to Benjamin's apartment and secretly moved in while Benjamin was abroad, worried about him living alone. His parents bought a villa nearby. Later, Benjamin kicked him out, so Ethan had to move into the villa, making us even closer neighbors. After some small talk, I stated my purpose. To smooth the way for my future marriage to Benjamin, I spilled all the awful things Ethan had done to me over the years, subtly hinting that he was the one who wronged me. They tried to talk me out of it, but I stood firm. Finally, they gave up regretfully, holding my hand. Sophia, we truly adore you and really wanted you to be part of the Wilson family. Hearing that made me feel a bit guilty. I still planned to marry into the Wilson family, just with a different groom. Wondered if they'd say the same when Benjamin broke the news to them in a few days, but no matter their reaction, I wouldn't let anything come between Benjamin and me. The next day, I announced the end of my engagement to Ethan to the media. When Robert found out, he was furious and stormed into my room, face twisted with rage. I was packing my bags at the time, and he kicked over my suitcase, pointing at me in a fury. Sophia, you've grown too big for your boots. You ignored everything I said. You were the one chasing after that Wilson boy, and now you just call it off. It was true, I had pursued Ethan. After one argument with Robert, I was wandering the streets and bumped into him again. He raised an eyebrow with a roguish grin. Hey, aren't you that drunk girl from the other day? Seeing those familiar smiling eyes, I impulsively asked if he wanted to date me. Living in hell, I desperately needed the comfort of those eyes after we started dating. I learned Ethan had an unrequited first love. But I didn't care, I just needed to look at his eyes, just like Ethan didn't care about me. Using me as a tool to make Lily jealous, fine. If you want marry into the Wilson family, I'll arrange for you to marry into the Goof family, Robert said coldly, practically selling his daughter for gain on his face. All the Goo sons were already married, leaving only a 60-something chairman who'd outlived several wives. Robert was utterly disgusting. I sneered and looked him straight in the eye. I'm not marrying anyone. If you want to, go marry him yourself. How dare you talk back to me? Robert raised his hand to slap me, but I dodged. All right. Sophia, you've got guts. Robert trembled with anger, pointing at the door. In that case, get out. You won't see a cent from the Williams family. I laughed, as if hearing the biggest joke. Robert, you haven't been to the company lately, have you? I glanced at my phone. It's about time. Why not check your messages? As soon as the words were spoken, Robert's phone rang. And through the screen, the urgency on the other end was palpable. Mr. Robert, it's terrible. Something's happened at the company. Robert frantically checked the messages, one after another, glaring news headline flashing before his eyes. Juicy gossip in high society. Robert cheats during marriage. Kills first wife for lover and love child. Williams family group stocks plunge. Acquired by another company today. Former A-City richest man Robert bankrupt. Where will he go now? Sophia, what have you done? What have I done? After my mother passed away, I founded the Summers Group, secretly connecting with old employees using the materials she left behind, and infiltrating my people into every department, thanks to that fool son of Emma. Robert wanted to groom him, but never imagined he was an incompetent idiot who only threw his weight around at work, exploited his stupidity and arrogance, letting employees trick him into signing numerous investment contracts with Summers Group, paving the way for my company. After thorough preparation, I exposed all the dirty deeds Robert had done back then. At first, it didn't spread far. Just within the circle, the Williams family group had grown powerful by swallowing up my mother's family company. Once Robert's hypocritical facade was revealed, families close to my mother refused to collaborate with Williams anymore, and many old employees defected to me. Williams stocks kept plummeting, and I allied with some directors to take it over directly. Then today, I leaked it to the media, exposing his ugly truth to the whole society. Finally, I bribed Robert's most trusted assistant, tricking him into signing various mortgage contracts under the guise of investments. Simply put, Robert is now a penniless scumbag with a rotten reputation. Sophia, you bitch. You're as cheap as your mother. After hearing me out, Robert completely lost it. He lunged to hit me but was knocked to the ground by the arriving Benjamin. He lay there pathetically, glaring at me with murderous eyes. Damn it. I raised a goddamn ingrate. Wasn't mother the same? Marrying an old ingrate like you, I said emotionlessly. Then suddenly smiled. Father, you've got 3 days left. After that, this house goes up for auction. Better find a place soon. With that, Benjamin took me away. Not sparing him another glance, Benjamin brought me back to the apartment. I collapsed onto the sofa, suddenly feeling utterly exhausted. Benjamin stroked my head tenderly. Sophia, all these years, you've been through so much. He stood up. Rest first. I'll make dinner. While resting, I got a somewhat unexpected call. Ethan, why are you calling me? Sophia, what scheme are you pulling now? First complaining to my parents, then publicly calling off the engagement. How do you plan to handle this? No handling needed. I am really ending the engagement. The voice on the other end grew impatient. Sophia. I'm not in the mood for your push-pull games, and no matter what you do, you'll never be as important as Lily. I took a deep breath, deciding to go easy on him since he's Benjamin's brother Ethan. Are you out of your mind? We're broken up, who cares who you think is important? After hanging up, I tossed the phone aside. Was that Ethan? Benjamin came over and sat down, wrapping me in his arms. I murmured mem, then heard his frustrated voice above me. Tomorrow we're picking out wedding dresses and rings. We're getting married this week. He wanted to claim me now. Not a moment to waste. So we spent 2 days quickly choosing dresses and rings, and booking the wedding venue. Everything was ready except informing the parents. Mine were irrelevant. The key was convincing his Benjamin insisted on going alone, swearing he'd get their approval no matter what. I refused firmly. Benjamin, whatever happens, we face it together. When Benjamin took me back, his parents were shocked and rejected it outright. Are you crazy? Sophia is your brother's fiancée. Why steal his woman? Anyone else would be fine. Benjamin pursed his lips. They broke off the engagement. Nonsense. Mr. Wilson slapped his back. They ended it 2 days ago. If you marry now, what about the Wilson family's reputation? And what about Sophia's good name? I spoke quietly beside them. Uncle, I don't care about reputation. I just want to be with Benjamin. You. Mr. Wilson was too angry to speak. Mrs. Wilson grabbed my hand anxiously. Sophia, I know you're mad at Ethan, but you can't treat love lightly just to get back at him. Benjamin dropped to his knees with a thud before them. Dad. Mom. Sophia hasn't treated feelings lightly, and she have known each other for a long time. Back then, I was sorry to her, avoiding my own emotions. Later, Ethan was sorry to her. He was with her but didn't cherish her properly. Now I want to make it up to her, giving her my all, making her feel like a cherished princess. So please, let us be together. Hearing these words, my eyes grew warm, and I knelt beside him. Uncle and Aunt, I'm not acting on impulse. I love Benjamin. Please let us be together. You. Sigh. The Wilson family parents, who always cherished their children and had doted on me over the years, seeing us like this, finally softened their stance. Fine. We can't control your love lives. Do whatever you want. But if you're going to get married, wait a bit longer. The Wilson family doesn't have much face left to lose. After saying that, they turned and left, refusing to engage with us any further. Benjamin stood up, then helped me to my feet, whispering comfortingly, Don't worry. They've relented. Gil, keep working on the timing. I smiled and nodded. Things were going much smoother than I expected. At least the Wilson family parents didn't oppose us being together. Not long after we stood up, Ethan came back from outside, bringing Lily with him. Sophia, what are you doing here? He spotted me standing in the living room immediately, striding toward me with a look of disdain. Weren't you all tough on the phone a couple of days ago? What? Couldn't resist coming to beg me to make up today. Lily beside him chimed in. Sophia, just reconcile with Ethan. There's really nothing between us. I rolled my eyes at her. I'd been wanting to confront her for ages. And this time she deliberately provoked me. Perfect timing to settle old and new scores. Cut out your fake tea act. Only a fool like Ethan falls for that. You say you're friends, but you do everything a couple would, yet refuse to commit, clearly keeping him as a backup. Plus, stirring up female rivalry just to disgust me. I didn't. Lily's eyes instantly welled up with tears, pitifully looking at Ethan. Ethan, I really didn't. Sophia apologized to Lily. Ethan glared at me immediately. You think this will make me notice you? Dream on. Enough. Benjamin couldn't help but snap. He pulled me close, staring straight at Ethan. We're getting married soon. She's not here for you. Ethan's eyes widened in shock. His face shifting from green to pale, he looked at me. His voice frantic. Sophia, even if you want revenge, don't use such underhanded tactics. You're overthinking it. Benjamin and I have known each other for ages. I thought for a moment and added, longer than you have. Ethan suddenly recalled our first meeting, shouting in realization, you were looking for my brother that day. As if he'd just understood. His face turned deathly pale. So you've always liked my brother. And I was just a substitute. I didn't deny it. You used me as Lily's substitute too. We're even. Who wants to be even with you? Ethan roared, suddenly grabbing my wrist. His eyes bloodshot as he stared at me. Sophia, you can't do this to me. Benjamin pulled his hand away, shielding me, speaking coldly. You didn't treat her well. So you've lost the right to have her. With that, Benjamin led me away directly. Ethan shook off Lily's hand, crouched on the ground with his head in his hands, looking utterly devastated. The days that followed were easy. Benjamin didn't let me do anything. Just wait to marry him, he kept persuading the Wilson family parents. And matters with Robert and the company were wrapped up. It was said that when the villa went to auction, Robert refused to move out and was taken away by the police for 5 days. After getting out, he found that Emma had run off with their son and the assets Robert had once given her. Robert was truly left with nothing, tried to come after me. But Benjamin had people beat him up and throw him out of City A. Then bribed local thugs to beat him every time they saw him. Robert had caused my mother's heartbreak and death. I made him lose everything. His reputation and money ruined. Successfully avenging my mother, Ethan came to see me again later. His handsome face was unkempt and lonely for the first time. He lowered his gaze, shedding his usual temper, like an abandoned puppy. Sophia, if I beg you, will you reconcile with me? I was surprised. Didn't you always like Lily? Ethan shook his head hard, his eyes reddening. I was stupid, not even knowing who I loved. You were too good to me. And I always tried to upset you. I've missed you so much these days. I realized I can't live without you. Lily confessed to me yesterday. I rejected her and won't have any contact with her again. So, will you give me another chance? I took a deep breath, looking straight into his eyes. Ethan, I was with you and treated you well only because your eyes resemble Benjamin's eyes, from start to finish. I've only ever loved Benjamin. I watched despair fill those eyes. Ethan clenched his fists tightly, then let out a bitter laugh after a long pause. Sophia, you're cruel. I didn't argue but felt no guilt. Ethan, you did plenty of awful things to me over these 5 years. So I don't owe you anything. That sentence seemed to shatter Ethan's last bit of pride. His straight back instantly slumped, tears streaming down his cheeks. You're right. I'm a jerk. I have no right to blame you. The day after Ethan left, Benjamin proposed to me. I had just agreed. And right away, he brought a stylist to fuss over me and sent me straight to the wedding venue. To reduce negative gossip, I advised him to keep the wedding as low-key as possible, but Benjamin didn't. He prepared a grand and dreamy wedding for me. Benjamin's parents, relatives and friends from both sides were all present, wanted to marry me in front of everyone, unwilling to let me suffer any injustice. My eyes welled up, and I felt so happy I almost cried, holding up my pure white dress. I walked step by step towards him, towards our future.